Hi students, welcome to Sree Academy. Myself Sridhar, I deal with RDBMS subject. So we are discussing this for ECET. So in ECET, RDBMS is one of the most easiest and important subject. So you have 9 to 10 questions in ECET paper, each carries 1 mark and you'll get 10 marks. So every question or every mark is very important in ECET to get good rank. So RDBMS means Relational Database Management System. So in RDBMS, we have like very important concepts like abstraction, normalizations, and in SQL you have different types of commands. Different types of commands and synonyms, sequences, indexes, or you can also talk about triggers. And the next concept will be PLSQL, that is procedure language, structured query language. So these are the important concepts that we have. If you just go through this, that is enough to score this 10 marks and you'll get good rank in ECET. So today we are discussing last year AP ECET 2025 paper. So we have 10 questions in AP ECET. We got 10 questions from RDBMS which are very easy. If you just know or description of RDBMS, that is enough to answer this. So let us discuss the first question. The first question of RDBMS in AP ECET is, which of the following ensures referential integrity in relational database? So referential integrity in relational database in RDBMS, you have different kinds of constraints. The topic of constraints. Constraints means it's a condition. Condition on what? Condition on maybe on table or the data inside the table. Okay, so constraints means it's a condition on table or data inside the table. So Nana, let us discuss what are the types of constraints. You have primary key constraint. The first of all, you have primary key constraint. Primary key constraint means all in a column, if it is considered as primary key, if you make this as, for suppose roll number as primary key, this should not have null values. It should not be null and it should be unique. This is primary key constraint. What is primary key constraint? All the values inside the column of primary key, all the values should be unique and should be not null. So this is primary key constraint. And then index. Index is not a constraint, so straight away you can cross it. Index is not a constraint, so straight away you can cancel that. And view. View is also not a constraint. You have primary key constraint, not null constraint, foreign key constraint. These are different types of constraints. So in every question, I observed in AP ECET, in every question you have two illogical questions, illogical options. So two illogical options, and you have confusion between two questions, two options. Here the constraints, under the concept of constraints, only primary key constraint and foreign key constraint is mentioned. So the question is, which of the following ensures referential integrity in relational database? Now you have to answer me, which one under the primary key and foreign key, which one is referential integrity, which follows referential integrity? So for me, what is referential integrity means? The column of one table, you have to answer. I'll just tell you the concept. The column, a normal column in one table refers as primary key in another table. Refers as primary key in another table. This is a normal concept, normal one. But it should be the primary key of another table, which is also making relation between these two tables. Relation between the table X and Y. So for suppose if it is the table called product, if it is a table called product, you have product ID and product name, and you also have order ID. For suppose let's take order ID. If you take orders as another table, then order ID may be the primary key of orders. So you have a table called product. Under product you have product ID, product name and order ID. And you also have another table called orders. Under that you have order ID as the primary key. So what is referential key? Referential key means it's a connection or relation between two tables. And what referential integrity? What is the condition here? The normal column of a table should be referred as primary key of another table. So that's why foreign key is the answer. Foreign key maintains the reference. Foreign key also called as referential key. Or foreign key also called as reference. So which one ensures the referential integrity here? That is foreign key. Foreign key means referential key, which ensures referential integrity in a relational model. So that is the answer. Okay, let's move to the next question. The next question is, which normal form removes transitive dependency? Let me know your answer. What is normal form removes, which normal form removes transitive dependency? So what is normal form? Normal form is nothing but, first to know this you should know what is normalization, the concept of normalization. What is normalization? Normalization means you divide the complex tables, into smaller tables. You divide the complex tables into smaller tables to ensure to not have redundancy. Redundancy means nana duplication. And which increase the performance. Performance means, how does it increase the performance? How does it increase the performance means, by dividing the complex tables or large tables into smaller, automatically you can access the data inside the table very quickly and easily. That is how we increase the performance. And the third one, it maintains the consistency. Which maintains the consistency or integrity. Integrity. So that's why we use the concept of normalization. So here the question is, which of the normal forms removes transitive dependencies? Under normalization, you have different types of normal forms. Let's say you have 1NF here, 2NF, 3NF, BCNF, and you also have 4NF and 5NF, which is not part of your syllabus. But let's take what is 1NF. 1NF ensures you have atomic values in each column. So multi-valued, you cannot have multiple values in same column. You cannot have multiple values. Let's say phone numbers 1 comma some XXX comma YYY. So multiple values are not allowed in 1NF. That means you should follow atomic values. Each cell should contain only one value, and there should not be any duplicate values present in the table. So 2NF deals with, it should be, first of all, it should be in 1NF and no partial dependency. No partial dependency. What do you mean by no partial dependency? No partial dependency means it should be, first of all, it should be in 1NF, and all non-key attributes should completely depend on primary key. So that is that is 2NF. Let's go to the 3NF. Under 3NF, you have, let's take 3NF. It should be in 2NF and no transitive dependency. No transitive dependency. That means some X person is depending on Y, Nana. Some X person is depending on Y, and this Y is depending on Z. Sorry. Let's take some X person is depending on Y, and again this Y is depending on Y is depending on Z. Let's take X as his wife. For suppose he is the son and his wife, X is the wife of Y, and this guy is depending on his father. Let's take the son is depending on father and this wife is depending on son. That means indirectly his wife is also depending on his father. So this kind of concept is called transitive dependency. So in 3NF, it should be in 2NF and there should not be any transitive dependency present. So on straight away, which normal form removes transitive dependency means it is third normal form. Okay? So let's move to the next question. The next question is, what type of database model uses tables with rows and columns? You have different kinds of database models, or you can also discuss like data models. What are the types of data models? The first one is hierarchical model, relational model, object oriented model, and network model. So under hierarchical model, it follows top-down approach. That means it follows tree-like structure, Nana. It follows tree-like structure. That means any information has to pass through these steps only, through these levels only. You cannot directly discuss with this level guy. The first level guy cannot directly come to discuss with this guy. So this you have to follow the level by level. So tree-like structure, that is a hierarchical model. Then what do you mean by relational model? Relational model means which follows rows and columns, So relational model means is a combination of rows and columns. The third one is object oriented model. Here the data will be stored in the form of objects, So object oriented model uses objects. Then what is network model, Nana? Network model uses graph structure. Here it is using the top down approach. Only the top person can discuss with the lower level, but lower level cannot discuss with the upper level. But in the graph structure, anybody can discuss or anybody can have communication or connection with anybody. So this is graph structure. In this way we can store the data. Okay, but what is the question? What is the type of database model uses tables? Tables with rows and columns means it is relational model. Has been discussed, we use rows and columns. So the answer is the second one, relational model. Okay, not hierarchical, not object oriented, not network model. Okay, very easiest one. Okay, the next one. Which of the following is not a valid PLSQL control statements? So here we have to concentrate on not, Nana. Most of the students will do mistake. They'll just read valid PLSQL control statements and go for the options. But wherever you have not, you should be very conscious, very concentrated on not. So which is the if you without not, what is the valid PLSQL control statement means? If, then, case, loop, all this comes under control statements. But here the concentration is on not. Which of the following is not a valid PLSQL control statement? That is switch. Why switch? Not means these all are type of PLSQL control statements. Not means switch is also a part of PLSQL, but it is handled using case. It is handled using the keyword called case 1, case 2, case 3. But switch is not used in PLSQL. So it is not the part of control statement of valid control statement of PLSQL. That's why not valid control statement is switch. So the next question is, what is the purpose of having clause in SQL? So in SQL you have different kinds of clauses. Let's take select is a clause. You have from is a clause. You have where is a clause. You have having is a clause. So there are various kinds of different kinds of clauses. Clauses are used to fetch the required information from the database. It is used to fetch the required information or correct information from the database table. So having clause, what is the use of having clause or the purpose of having clause in SQL? Actually, having clause is used whenever you use group by. You have to remember, group by is also a class. Group by, order by, these also considered as clause in SQL. So whenever you use group by, you will use the having clause. Okay, let's take, you have to fetch the from the department. Department means group of people. From the department, you want to calculate the average salary. Okay, from the department, you have to calculate the average salary of the employees who has, average salary greater than 40,000. Let's take. So group by, you will say select department, comma, average salary from employee, group by department having average salary greater than 40,000. So what are we trying to do here? We are trying to filter the data. We are trying to filter the data from the department who has salary greater than 40,000, average salary greater than 40,000. So let's go to the options. First, let's go for the fourth one. To join tables. Actually, to join tables, we use joins. We have left join, right join, natural join, cross join. You have different kinds of joins. So to join tables, we use joins. But the next one is to sort the result set. So having is not used to sort the result set. Okay, sorting happens, ascending and descending. But sorting, having does not work to sort the result set. And you have confusion between, actually, as I said, there are two, illogical options. So sort the result set and join tables are illogical options, and you have confusion between two things here. To filter groups based on a condition and to filter rows based on a condition. Here we use on group by. Whenever you use group by, then you have to filter the groups, you'll use having. So to filter the groups based on a condition is the correct answer for this question. So what is the purpose of having class? To filter groups based on a condition. Hope you understand this. The next concept or the next question. Which of the following SQL statements contain error? What is error? Error may be syntactic or semantic error. So under this following SQL statements, which of the following has error? So let's debug each. The first one, select star from employee where employee ID equal to 1003. So it does not contain any errors because it is a general statement that we use in SQL generally. The second one, select employee ID from employee where employee ID equal to 1002. Here also I found no errors because this is a normal correct statement. Syntactically also it is correct, semantically is also it is correct. So there is no errors here. Here you have doubt. Here you find doubt in between select employee ID from employee and select all from employee where employee ID equal to 1001. Here you will feel little confused. So select employee ID from employee is not syntactically error. It is not an error. So you can use select employee ID from employee. Okay. So you can use this. So you have no error. But here select all from employee where employee ID equal to 1001. Usually people will make a mistake here. All means it will fetch all the employee IDs employee IDs from the employee, where you have 1001, but all is not the keyword, all is not the keyword used in this place. All only used, all keyword is only used in subqueries. Where? Inside the subqueries. If you have a query inside another query, let's have this is the query 1. Inside this, if you have another query, from that, if you want to fetch all the records from this, then you will mention all here. So query 1, all, another query. To validate all the rows of this inner query, we use all here. Here the only place we use the keyword called all, but here select all from employee, where employee ID equal to 1001, you cannot use the keyword called all. So it is the error. So you will feel confusion between the third one and the fourth one, but all is not used when you fetch the data from the database. So this is a wrong one, or which contains the error. Okay, the next one, Nana. So dash is not DDL commands. So your SQL has different kinds of commands called DDL, DML, DCL and TCL. Okay, so this works on structure of the table. Structure of table, that means structure of table means if you want to add more columns, if you have 2 columns, if you want to add 1 more column, then you can use this DDL commands. If you want to change the name, column name, then you will use DDL commands. Then if you want to rename this table, then you use DDL command. So anything that you have to do with the structure of the table, then you have to use DDL command, that is data definition language. You will define the structure of the table. You will change, if you want to modify or alter the structure of the table, then you have to use DDL command. So under DDL command, you have alter, you have create, alter, truncate, drop, rename. Okay, these are all the commands of DDL. You can create new table, alter the table. Altering means you can alter the column, alter the column name, and alter the data type of this column as well. Then truncate. Truncating means it will remove all the data from the table, but the structure remains same. And drop means from the database, it will entire table will be deleted. When you use drop, the entire table will be deleted from the database. Then rename, you can rename the table name. So that is DDL. Anything that you have to do with the structure of the table, then you have to use DDL commands. These are the DDL commands. From what is the question? Dash is not a DDL command. So create is not the option here. Then you have alter is the DDL command. You have truncate is the DDL command. You have drop is a DDL command. Which is not DDL command means it is update. So when you talk about DML means the data inside, data manipulation language. Data manipulation language. It means if you have some data here, then if you want to modify the data inside the table, then you have to use DML commands. DML commands means you can modify, insert, update, delete, so or comment as well. This all comes under DML commands, which talks about manipulating the data inside the table. So then you go with DCL, data control language, and you have TCL called data transaction control. Transaction control means commit and rollback. So data control, and you have DQL as well. DQL talks about data query language, which has only statement called select. So you have to find what are the commands inside the DCL. So finally our answer is update. Update is not part of DDL command. So update is a correct answer for this question, which is very simple, very straight away compared to Telangana ECET. It is very straight away. All the questions are straight away asked. Okay, let's move to the next question. Which of the following is a key characteristic of NoSQL database? So we have to find out key characteristics of NoSQL. NoSQL means not structured. First of all, you have to remember, not structured. Okay, not structured. That means the data inside this NoSQL database are not in a structured format. Okay, so let's debug this. The first one is only supports structured data. We have to find the characteristic of NoSQL, but he mentioned about structured data. That means this is straight away illogical answer or option. The second one, let's go to the scalable and flexible. Let's keep it aside. And then relational data model. What do you mean by a relational data model? Means where you talk about the rows and columns. That means a structure type. So the relational model follows structured data, structured model. So relational data model is wrong one. Then fixed schema. Fixed schema means in a database or in a table, you'll have fixed number of columns and fixed number of rows. So you cannot add new columns or new row without the permission. But NoSQL is not fixed schema. You can add new columns or new servers or new users as well. Okay, in NoSQL you can add new data as well. So why we are saying NoSQL as scalable and flexible, where you can add horizontal data also, horizontal data. So in the terms of, you can add new servers to, if your database is bigger or database is complex, and you have huge number of users, then one service is not enough to fetch the information from that database. Then it will automatically get slower. In that case, we will add new servers. So that is, we are scaling it up. To make our users easy access to our database or our table. So for that purpose, scalability, NoSQL, the main key characteristic of NoSQL is it is scalable. And what do you mean by flexible? If you want to add some new data or new tables inside this database, then you can, it is flexible to add up new rows or new data inside this database. That's why the key characteristic of NoSQL database is it is scalable and flexible. Okay, so let's move to the next question. Which type of following is not, again you have to be conscious enough to understand not a NoSQL database type. NoSQL database type. So there are types of NoSQL databases as well. As you have SQL databases, you have relational. Relational model follows SQL. The same way you have NoSQL databases as well. Let's take document based. Document based is a NoSQL where in this document you may have images, graphs and data, different types of data. So these are all non-structured data. That's why document based it always considered as NoSQL. But we want to find out which is not a NoSQL database type. Graph based is always graph based is always a NoSQL database. Key value store is a map is also NoSQL database. So finally relational model is SQL, where you have SQL means structured type. You should have a structure which you can access the data very easily. You can fetch the information or insert the information or modify the information very easily in structured type. So your relational model follows structured type, where you organize the data in the form of rows and columns. That's why it's a SQL type. So not NoSQL database type is relational. Understand? Let's move to the next question. What is the purpose of normalization? Relational database. So this is the second question we are seeing for normalization concept. So normalization, as we discussed earlier, normalization is used to divide the complex tables and we make it smaller and easier to access, and we remove redundancy. Redundancy means we remove duplicates. So what is the purpose of normalization in relational database? Means let's eliminate each. By this time you might have already understand what is the right option here, but let me debug for you. To increase data redundancy, but the concept of normalization is used to remove the redundancy, remove the duplicates. So the redundancy, the duplication will decrease, not increases. So this is not the right one. Then the second one, to decrease performance by making your complex tables, into smaller smaller chunks. In fact, you say it will be easy to access and easy to get the information, fetch the information or insert the information. It is very easy. So it will increase the performance. Increase the performance means you can easily get the information, easily insert the information, easily modify the information. So automatically your performance will increase with the help of normalization concept. But the option is to decrease the performance. That's why it is wrong one. Let's go for the third one. To store all data in a single table. But the concept of normalization means to not store all the data in a single table, you have to make it smaller, which will be very easier and convenient way to access the data. But here the option is to store data in a single table. If you store all the small data into a single table, then this table will become complex. Again, it is very tough to modify the data inside this table or access the data inside the table. So this is not the right one. So the correct one will be automatically to eliminate the data redundancy and improve integrity. Okay. So integrity means without losing any data. Without losing any data. Understand? Without losing any data from the table while you are dividing these tables into smaller chunks. Okay. That's why the fourth one will be the correct one. Okay. Let's move to the next topic. So this is the last question in the RDBMS. How did you felt? Is it tough or easy? For me, I would say it is very easiest questions that AP ECET prepared. All the 10 questions are very easiest questions that you can concentrate on, and even overall ECET RDBMS is very easiest. If you just go through the subject, there are nothing to calculate or nothing to do remember multiple things, but just go through the concepts, understand the concept, try to solve previous bits or solve few questions from the ECET previous year papers. So that would definitely help you to score all the 10 marks from all the 10 marks in RDBMS. Okay. So if every 1 mark is also very calculated, and which will differs in tens in rank, hundreds in rank. So guys, remember RDBMS is the very easiest subject. Concentrate and solve the previous year's bits will definitely help you to crack your ECET. All the best. Thank you.